24 minutes before 10 o'clock. I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like when we were kids, we were all very carefree. We would just kind of go out and have a good time. And maybe I'm only speaking to those of us who had good childhoods. I was one of those. I had no idea people were out there that weren't having good childhoods until I got older. So maybe they weren't as carefree, those folks. And a lot of you grew up. I grew up after you. It took me a while to grow up, and you know, for a long time, I thought, oh my gosh, when I look back on those years where I was being kind of free and just enjoying life and not worrying about anything, and I took that as just me being like immature, you know, after I got to a certain age. But now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I want to be that way again. I do. I want to be that person again. You know, I don't know if it's possible. You know, you have the worry of money. You have the worry of getting older. You have the worry of traffic. You have the worry of the kids getting older, the kids driving, and oh my gosh. And there's just so many things that life throws at you. Amber Ray has figured out a way how to take that by the reins and change her life for the better. And she's getting unbelievably good reviews for her thoughts. She has written them in a book called Choose Wonder Over Worry. Move beyond fear and doubt to unlock your full potential. And that's the other part of it. I love that part of it. It's not only being free of worry, but the truth is the thing that you were probably born to do, like that apple tree over there is born to make apples, right? You will be making apples or whatever it is that you were gifted to do. Amber Ray, obviously gifted to write and do other things. She is, here's her bio here. It says she's deemed a millennial motivator. Well, that's true. And I don't know if I'm considered a millennial. I know I'm not. She's an artist, a motivational speaker. She collaborated with brands like Kate Spade, Apple, Amazon, Lululemon. She's a contributor to the BBC, ABC World News Tonight, the New York Times, and others. It's just a big honor to be able to have her on our show. Amber Ray, I'm already influenced by you. Good morning, Amber. How are you?
Oh, good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
See, and you even look fun. There's a photo. There's a photo of you on Amazon where you got this floppy hat. I love the floppy hat.
Thank you.
So where are you right now? I'm going to put the picture on.
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
In Brooklyn.
Nice.
See,
I like Brooklyn.
I'm going to get back to New York
one day. In my loft.
In her loft.
Which is called Our loft, which is called Wonderland.
Nice.
Really? Did you grow up there?
I grew up in Chicago, actually.
In Chicago? How'd you end up in Brooklyn?
Yeah. You know, I first went to San Francisco, did the other coast, and then just felt this pull to New York.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love. Not only did I fall in love here, but fell in love with the city.
Oh, you fell in real love, like a man or somebody?
With the city. She fell in love with the city.
I fell and a man.
Well, I grew up there and I live here now, and no offense to Florida, I do love Florida too. So I'm kind of a cheater because I love two things. I love New York and Florida, right? Yeah, one of these days I'll be back there. So how long have you been there? How long have you been in Brooklyn?
I've been in Brooklyn for about 6 years. And what's interesting, my mom actually lives in Florida.
Oh, where's
Florida is where I went. She's in Naples area.
Oh, okay.
Naples, Fort Myers, yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful area. That's a great area.
But there's something about the city, not just New York City, but pretty much most cities, that has a vivaciousness. I think Brooklyn has been revived. And probably, you know what I attribute it to? The TV show Friends.
Yes. Absolutely. Here's the thing. I'm in Dumbo, which is this neighborhood in Brooklyn, and my fiance, he found this loft 10 years ago, which literally looks like a Brooklyn loft. And this was before this area was really revived. And it's amazing how, Brooklyn has become this center of creativity. And, you know, we've got the fast pace of Manhattan, which is just across, across the bridge.
Right.
But there's still there's this neighborhoody feel about Brooklyn. So it feels like you're in a big city, but also like a small town at the same time.
Let me see if I remember Dumbo. Down under the Manhattan Brooklyn overpass. Is that what it stands for?
Yes.
You see that?
Amazing.
Wow, we got to go there.
A lot of the new names for the areas of New York happened after I moved away. Like Dumbo Dumbo is a kind of an old one, actually.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Oh yeah,
Never heard of that.
So can you see the river from where you are?
I can. Well,
Yeah.
not in the room. I'm in the quiet room. So not in the room that I am.
All right, so we kind of getting a feel. That was kind of a good way to get to know you a little bit. So, tell me about yourself. What did you go through that period where you were actually taking yourself serious, and it was hurting you, or hurting what you were supposed to become?
Yeah, after I graduated college, I went into the advertising industry and branding and marketing, and was just very I want to be successful and do all of this. That led me to Silicon Valley. So if you would have met me a decade ago, I was climbing the ranks in Silicon Valley, but taking it so seriously and really hustling for approval in a way where it was leading me to, it led to some self-destructive behaviors like popping Adderall to get more done and to be more productive, and just hustle, more, do, faster. And it led to a breakdown moment for me where I realized that, whoa, this is not working.
Oh my!
So so that realization now manifested itself in this book after you were able to apply that realization to your own life. How did you change yourself to understand what you needed to understand?
Yeah, so with every breakdown, there's usually a breakthrough, and the breakthrough for me was this isn't working, and I wonder, why. And so that's where the wonder came back in, because, I loved how you started the show. As a kid, there was, a lot of curiosity and wonder and awe. And,
Yeah.
I think kids, even regardless of their childhood, I lost my father when I was young. Still, I was so curious and always wanted to discover. And then with school and work and wanting to perfect, perform, and please, I really, came into this sense of worry. And when I had that breakdown moment, that's what actually led to the wonder. And I really began to turn my life into this living laboratory of sorts, where I began studying psychotherapy and neuroscience, and began to write my way into my stories, and began to really question the stories I was telling myself about myself. And that was the big realization in that moment, because I realized that I thought I had to work harder in order to be approved of and loved. And I was like, where did that come from? And,
I think we all can agree with that, yeah. Or relate to
and
it.
I had to totally, and do more and more and more, and there was nothing was ever enough. So I discovered this myth of not enough in myself, and then I began studying and doing a bunch of research where I realized that actually the myth of not enough is quite prevalent in our society, otherwise known as scarcity, which, is I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not powerful enough, I don't have enough time and money to do the things that I want to do. We buy into these stories, often of not enoughness. And I really began to question these stories I was telling myself and decide whether or not I wanted to still buy into them.
The cover, I don't normally talk about the cover of a book, but this cover says something to me. The cover looks like, and you're an artist, so I'm thinking you made the cover, or at least you asked for this cover. It says just freedom. Just take the paint and do whatever you want, right?
I love that. Exactly, yeah. And it's Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think, in the opening, I referenced the fact that I felt like I took too long to grow up, and everybody else was already grown up, and everybody else had these jobs in law firms, and I was still trying to be the Beatles. But at the same time, I mean, I was the freest person I knew. Of course, I was also the poorest person I knew. So, so tell me about that part of this whole experience for you. Did money make a difference, or should it make a difference?
When I was making some of the best money in my career, I was also the least happy, and the least, and happiness is fleeting, but the least fulfilled. And I had this hunch that there was more, and there was this call inside of me that I wanted to explore and follow and pursue, the hero's journey in a way, or the heroine's journey. And for me, freedom actually came not through, making money and being chained to a desk in a way, but freedom came through self-expression and creativity, and even freeing myself from just the beliefs that weren't serving me. Because so many of us walk around and we create, where humans are meaning-making machines. And so we're constantly extracting meaning from things that happen in our lives. And so there's always, what we experience in our lives and what we make that experience mean. And oftentimes that experience doesn't, or that meaning doesn't serve us. It actually holds us back. It creates a belief of, not feeling worthy or good enough, or you don't have the right credentials to be able to do something. And those sorts of beliefs can really stifle us.
Yes.
So,
yes, I know, and that's what the world does. I mean, the world makes you think, but there's a little bit of validity to this. If I could explain what I meant by that, there's the world makes you think you need that piece of paper in order to take the next step, but there is some validity to that too. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm also an artist, and when I was younger, I worked at a newspaper and was in the circulation department. In other words, the people who deliver the papers, which is the bottom of the totem pole. Well, there was an art job opening, and I had no art degree. And I went to apply. And the other artist there loved my work. He thought it was great, but he didn't do the hiring. And then they hired somebody with a degree. And I remember seeing the pictures, the illustrations in the newspaper for the first time, and thought, oh my gosh, how is it possible that I didn't get this job? But so that's why I'm saying there's a little validity to that whole you need the document thing.
To some extent, though, I think that's changing. I absolutely in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Because now you look at, there's artists who just share their work on Instagram and then all of a sudden Nike's hiring them. And so I think the consumer actually has more control, because if you can create art, share your work, and put it out there, and people like it and it resonates, that actually has more pull today than whether or not you have the degree.
And the style has a lot to do with it also, not just the visual art, but also the art of writing, prose or poetry. If magazines are looking for something to put in their magazine and they're perusing the people's writings online, if it's a style that they come across, they'll more than likely contact you, and there you go.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, because there's nothing wrong with accreditation and schooling and going to school for art, for example. But I think, every person learns differently. And so I always am curious, how do you learn best? Is it through actually making the art, or is it through learning with mentors, or taking a workshop, or going to school? I think learning can look different for everyone. And of course, be, a master of your work. So be constantly learning, growing, and putting yourself in environments that challenge you and push you. Though, I think sometimes, school and college, I don't know if it challenges you and pushes you, or if it more is just a box to check off.
I can hear why you are considered a top motivational speaker. Can I tell you something? I had years ago, I met a guy who said he was psychic, and he was telling me how to, get the things in life that I want. And he said this. He said, imagine a golden light surrounding yourself. Imagine a golden light surrounding the things you want, blah, blah, blah. And I told Robin this, and I said, well, let's try it. Let's imagine we want a baseball. So we imagined a golden light on a baseball. We didn't really want a baseball. We were just trying his theory.
Yeah.
And Robin verified for me this happened. We went to McDonald's. We walked out of McDonald's because that's where we did it. You're not going to believe it. We found a baseball on the ground.
Yeah.
What?
I swear.
I know.
I swear to happen.
Shocker.
And can I tell you something, Amber? Your name, Amber Ray, means golden light.
It does.
Did you change your name, or is that your name?
So that is my name. I got rid of my last name because, tiny story. My mom got into a car accident before I was born, and they actually thought she was dead. Going a little dark there, but they thought she was dead and were preparing to put her into a body bag, and she moved, and she woke up 5 days later in a hospital and found out she was 5 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
And so she named me Amber Ray because she said I was her Amber Ray of golden light.
There you go. I love that.
for the world. So I was literally named after Golden Light.
Yes, you are a golden
Wow.
light. Wow, and it so fits because you are doing what your name implies a golden light would do. I mean, you're opening people to I don't know. I don't want to seem like I'm carrying on too much, but I think the book is really, you're getting good reviews for a good reason. It's because people can connect with what you're saying. Can I tell you a little
Thank
bit
you.
about this? Let me tell the listeners. I'm on Amazon right now. You have 5 stars. How many reviews is this? 25 reviews, all 5 stars. Okay? Let me find the other thing I wanted to brag about. The number. Okay, here's the number. No, I just got new glasses. I have to tilt my head to read now.
They're progressive.
All right, 20. You're number 28 on Amazon in the creativity category. That's unbelievable. There's millions of books on this thing, right?
We were top 10, but that's okay. It fluctuates.
Yeah, it does. Well, now that you're on this show, you'll be number 1.
You also touch on hustling for approval. I mean, everybody wants to have approval, not just from, their coworkers or their friends, but from their parents as well. And sometimes that can lead to high anxiety.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the thing about approval is that we hustle for it and we think it's outside of us, but actually approval comes from within. And so the journey is, of course, I don't think we'll ever not want, our partner to say, I love you, and approve of the things that we do. That's like a human longing, because humans have this desire for belonging.
Yeah.
However, if all approval is coming from external sources, that's going to lead us to just hustle, and seek to find our self-worth outside of us.
And is that when people are searching for approval and they get a negative feedback, is that why they sometimes turn to alcohol and drugs?
Absolutely. Or they take that feedback as personal, as something being wrong with them, rather than like an opportunity for growth. Carol Dweck talks about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset is, I am the way I am and I can't change. So if you give me feedback, it means something's wrong with me. Whereas a growth mindset says, okay, feedback is actually feed forward, and it's helping me to take steps so that I can grow and expand into, greater possibilities.
It's a lifetime thing, though. As free as I feel like I am, even though I do feel sometimes that I'm not as free as I once was, we'll do these interviews, and we always make these interviews video podcasts that we put on YouTube, and that means people can comment on them. And quite frequently, somebody will say something negative like, oh, that idiot doing the interview, meaning me,
Us.
didn't even read the book. He's asking questions that are answered in the book. And I will think to myself, oh my gosh, A, maybe I didn't read the book. Or B, maybe I did and I wanted the author to answer the question. It depends on which one we're talking about.
Exactly.
But it always bums me out because we try. I mean, but the point is not that I'm not trying to defend anything we do as much as to say this need to be appreciated doesn't ever go away. It's always there. We're 63 years old, so I'm just telling you, it doesn't go away. I'll be 90. I'll be 90. I'll still be thinking this.
Yeah, totally. And, rejection triggers the part of our brain that's responsible for physical pain. And so I feel like I got some early reviews of the book that were very positive, but then also people who just didn't get the writing style, who wanted the how-to, here's the exact steps, which it has that, but I'm a narrative. I have a lot of narrative and prose. It got some really bad reviews, and those are painful. It always hurts, but haters are going to hate. And
Yes.
critics will always be there.
Taylor Swift said that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But your book is very conversational, and that's what drew us to that. It's absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you. Some people did not. Some people are like, this is a rambling autobiography. And then other people are like, I want to tattoo her words on my arm. So it's like you can't please everyone. And when I worked with Seth Godin, one of the things that I really learned from him was that if everyone loves your work, you're actually doing something wrong.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, because you're only showing it to your mother. That's what that means.
You talk
So
about
true.
feelings. You talk about feelings and worry, and you say to make a request.
Yes. So when we're feeling, let's say we're feeling anxious or stressed, or we're going through these different emotions, well, the first step is actually to name it to tame it. So to name as vividly as possible what you're feeling, because when you do that, this is neuroscience research shows that we can reduce our anxiety by up to 50%. So right now I'm feeling, going back to the critic, right now I'm feeling really stressed out and anxious, and I'm wondering if I'm good enough and if everyone's going to hate me, and I'm noticing that my heart's beating fast. When we can name it, we can come back to the present moment. And then, a big part of it is making these requests of our emotions. Rather than denying them, repressing them, numbing them, or pushing them away, we can actually learn how to work with them. We can say, like, hey, why are you showing up here? Or how can we work together? And
That's
then
awesome.
you can actually say like, so I know that as a writer, my perfectionist comes up a ton.
Yeah.
And my perfectionist is like, this is terrible and everyone's going to hate it. You should probably stop now. And then the request I might make is like, perfectionism, I see you hanging out here. I know you care about high quality. Me too. But I need you to go get a massage while I write this really messy first draft that's going to be terrible, because it needs to be terrible before it can be good.
I love that.
Yeah, I can see why you are a motivational speaker. Are you doing colleges by chance? The college market, that kind of thing?
It's really, everyone keeps asking that. I haven't yet. I think that's a huge, untapped market. I've done a lot of like.
Do you know how to?
No.
I can show you. Wait a minute. Can you stay online until after we're done, just a little bit?
I have 7 minutes before my next one. But
Okay.
yes.
Well, then I'll tell you on the air. I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe somebody else could use this information. There is a college market out there. And it's very lucrative, and gosh, I hate to take up your interview time to tell you this. I'll tell you later. Can I write you?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find a way to get a
You
hold
can
of it.
write her
I'll find a way to
in
get it.
care of Elise. We can send it to Elise, and then
Oh,
Elise
okay.
can forward it on.
Okay, we'll contact your publicist, and she'll get it to you. Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
One of the other points that you bring out is that everybody has a critic within their own selves, but then you have to look deeper than that critic and really look for what your real truth is instead of putting a covering on it. You have to know your inside what your truth is, what you stand for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the critic can get really loud, but what the critic is just afraid of is sometimes that truth, because that truth, is vulnerable and it's scary, and it's the thing that we really want. And because we want it, we're afraid we might not be able to have it. And so, the critic, I find that the critic gets especially loud when I'm moving toward the things that I care about, when I'm moving toward the things that actually matter, because the critic, wants control and wants certainty, but the things, our dreams, are often uncertain and mysterious in some ways, the pursuit of them.
The advice to choose wonder over worry is ageless. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're sitting there worrying about something, think about the stories you've heard about people who've accomplished amazing things. Think about the stories you've heard about people who've come through disease with flying colors. And I know this is maybe tampering with religious beliefs a little bit, but think about the people who say they died and came back and it was just beautiful on the other side, and now they're not worried about death anymore. You've heard those stories. I don't know. I mean, I'm just telling you that there are people who've said that. So I think ultimately we're in good hands, and why not become the apple tree? I have an apple tree on the desk here. That's why I'm saying this. The apple tree is going to make apples. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. It's going to make apples.
Exactly.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah, and that's what he's meant to do. I love you.
So what are your apples? I'm so curious. For everyone listening, what is the apple for you?
Exactly. Yes, that's the question. What is the apple for you? I love that. We all have that potential, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I think that's an important part of this. Amber, I love your message. I love your name. I love this conversation. I have a copy of the book. It's called Choose Wonder Over Worry. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to me. Amber, I'm going to write a letter to you through Elise to tell you about the college market, okay?
Amazing. I appreciate that.
Enjoy Dumbo. I can't wait to get back.
Thank you. This was so fun.
All right. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. A man who fired shots inside the lobby of President Trump's golf resort in Doral, Florida, was trying to lure officers into a gunfight.